it going, everybody? I'm Ty Campbell. Welcome back to Tekin Builds. This week we are continuing on with our Vanquish VS4-10 Origin Limited build. Last week we left off right at getting these shocks assembled. Previous to that, we got our front and rear axles completely assembled and ready to go, other than links, which we were going to cover today. We got the transmission built, we got the general frame assembled with shock towers on, we mounted up our Rock 412 element-proof motor, we mounted up the Tekin T360 servo. So this week, let's go ahead and get started with the shocks. Alright, moving right along in our build, we are to shock assembly stage. And looks like these are already built, so I guess we just, talk about making it easy. That's nice. Okay, these are built, but they're not ready to go on our truck because there is absolutely zero oil in them, so unless you want it super bouncy and to handle like garbage, you're gonna have to take these apart and put some oil in them. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's in our bag. Looks like this is some shock ends, spring collars, pistons. So it looks like there's some extra parts in here for our shocks. Well, these are very nice shock. There's some really cool features on here that I absolutely love. I love how they have these lock nuts on the spring collars, so when you set your preload, you spin this guy down and that keeps this one underneath it from backing up further. We've got a retainer screw on our spring cup because we all hate having one of those pop off. You end up losing it out in the woods somewhere. Super nice. So these are single stage springs, look like they're the red spring rate. Loosen up the cap, take a little peek inside. Got a nice bladder. Make sure you don't lose this bladder. And yep, completely dry, just as I expected. So we're gonna go ahead and fill these up with some shock oil, bleed them out real quick, and then we'll move on. So now that I got my caps off, I'm gonna go ahead and fill these up with some oil. There's no recommended oil weight in the truck manual, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put some 40 in. I've usually ended up about 40, 45 on some of my other similar weight trucks. So we'll just go ahead and top these up with some 40 and see how that works. So when you're filling these, you just wanna not spill it all over the place like that. We're gonna try that one more time. You want to fill these up as per the manual. It says to leave about 5 to 8 millimeters. So you've got room for the bladder and you need some room in there for shock compression. If you overfill it, you risk blowing that out or blowing the seals out the bottom. That's not good. The shock will be really stiff. So once you get that topped up in there with about 5 millimeter or so clearance to the top of the shock, you just want to work the shock in once. And this will get any air bubbles that are stuck under the piston out. So once you work that a couple of times, you'll see the air bubbles come up. Just give it a few seconds. You can put these in a shock stand and let them rest for a while to get all the air out. I'm not that picky, so I'm gonna go ahead and call that good enough. We're gonna put our cap on. And you want to tighten this down. You don't want it all the way tight. Leave it a little bit loose. And then we're going to compress the shock. Make sure that it's not too stiff. This is bleeding, so you're going to get some excess fluid coming out. And you can go ahead and tighten that shock cap all the way down. Wipe up any excess oil. And these feel really nice. These are super smooth shocks. The nice aluminum body and the CNC pistons, I mean, these things are just like butter. Cool, let's get the other three filled up. That's all of our shocks assembled and filled with oil. They all feel really smooth. None of them are bottoming out or getting tight under full compression. I think those are pretty good. Now let's get some links put together. Now that our shocks are assembled, we can move on to assembling the links. This isn't the most fun part of the build, but I'm going to show you a couple tips just to make it a little bit easier. So we need bag F1 and bag F2. So now we're going to go ahead and put the link ends on our links, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I've learned because I've probably assembled a couple hundred sets of links and turnbuckles in my RC days. I like to take a body reamer, and then you're just going to open up the hole on this just a tiny bit. Not a lot. This is just going to help that link get started so it threads in nice. And then black high pressure grease. We're going to go ahead and put some of that inside this link end. And then you should be able to start threading this on by hand. And once you feel it, go ahead and grab threads. I like to grab my shock shaft pliers just to hold on to this. You can spin this most of the way down by hand. If it starts getting really tight, I like to use these little shock end tools. If you don't have one of these, then I just like to grab a wrench. You can just stick that through. Thread it down. And then you just want to close up that gap so you can't see the threads. Don't over tighten it. Super easy, and it's on nice and straight. Well, that wasn't too bad. That probably only took maybe 10 minutes tops. And we need to pop all the ball ends into these. This part's super easy, goes real quick. So you just want to place the ball right here. You can do this on the edge of the table. You can grab a pair of pliers and snap them in. All you got to do is grab a hold of this and then just give it a little wiggle. Snaps right in. Make sure it's loose. Alright, so we've got our shocks assembled, we've got our links assembled. Now we can go ahead and start mounting everything up to the chassis. So we're going to go ahead and put all the links on, and then we'll throw the shocks on last. I like to link everything up and then do shocks once everything's all hooked up to the chassis. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, the axles are linked, shocks are in. Man, this thing is so smooth. Assembly is extremely smooth. The suspension is, man, super nice. Super nice. So now that we're to this step, we can go ahead and get our rock slider assemblies mounted up, and then we're gonna put the electronics tray in. We'll dive into getting the RX4 speed controller mounted, and then we will continue on with inner fender liners and buttoning up all the wiring and all that stuff, and hopefully getting this thing running pretty soon. So the rock sliders went on super easy. It's just 2 screws, and then you've got these little silver guys right here that pinch and hold into the body. I only put the middle 2 in right now because the outer 2 actually help hold on these inner splash guards, which these things are really nice. They'll hide all the electronics up inside and give it a lot more scale appearance. So those are pretty cool. I still got to throw some paint on those, but we'll go ahead and do that when we get to the body work. I just wanted to throw these on so that you could see what they look like. I went ahead and put the body posts in. Body drops right on. It's just set to where the factory manual said to set it. We got the electronics tray and battery tray is all one piece. This is really nice. It anchors in 2 spots on each rock slider right here, and then in 2 spots right here. So it's very solid and even stiffens everything up even more. So I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode. This is part 2 of our VS4-10 build. Next week we will dive into getting the RX4 installed, soldered up to the motor. We will also work on getting our servo programmed, centered, and all that good stuff. Basically get this thing pretty much ready to drive. We'll put some wheels and tires together. I'm gonna send the body out to get some custom decals made by SOR Graphics. And then this build will pretty much be done. We can take it outside and see what it's made of. Be sure and click like if you liked the video today. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos, and share with your friends so they can join in on the fun too. I'm Ty Campbell, and I'll see you next time.